Kim Yi-sak was a simple man with simple dreams. Work hard, make money, and maybe one day not have to eat instant noodles 5 times a week. But fate, that cruel mistress, had other plans. Diagnosed with a one-of-a-kind terminal disease so unique the doctors planned to name it after him, he was given 6 months to live. Standing in the middle of a busy crosswalk, clutching his diagnosis paper like it owed him rent money, he couldn't believe it. People bumped into him, muttering complaints, but he was too stunned to care. "No way this is how it ends," he whispered. "A whole life of diligent, soul-sucking labor, and just when things were looking up, the universe decided to punch his ticket." A car honked aggressively, and a stranger shoved him out of the way. Yi-sak fell to his hands and knees. He was ready to curse the heavens when he remembered. Today was the day he won the goddamn lottery. That's right. Hundreds of millions. Retirement. Tears streamed down his face as he held onto the lottery ticket like a lifeline. "I want to live. I'll do anything. Somebody, please, save me." And oh boy, did someone answer. When he opened his eyes, he wasn't in a hospital, a white light wasn't greeting him at the end of a tunnel, and there were no angels singing. Instead, he was bony. Literally. Looking down at himself, he saw nothing but a skeleton. No flesh, no hair, not even his manhood, which, frankly, was the real tragedy here. Out of all the things I could have reincarnated into, why the hell a bald skeleton? Then the monsters came. Big, ugly, and not the fun kind. Yi-sak. Now apparently some kind of undead warrior grabbed the blade by his side. "Fine, universe, you want to play? Let's play." With a grin, he hacked through the creatures like a blender set to murder. Blood splattered across his bones as the final enemy fell. Then came the big one. A massive, hulking beast stomped towards him. "Finally," Yi-sak muttered, cracking his non-existent knuckles. "Time to wrap this up." With a graceful leap, he soared through the air, blade slicing through the creature's thick neck. It was dead before it hit the ground. Superhero landing? Nailed it. And with that, the rebellion against demonkind was over. It turns out that after reincarnating as a skeleton, classified as an inferior summon, he had clawed his way up the food chain. From weak cannon fodder to an evolved undead lich, he had brought the demon race back from the brink of extinction. No flesh? No problem. He was the goddamn demon king now. But of course, no victory is without its annoyances. His loyal subordinates, who, let's be honest, weren't the brightest, couldn't pronounce his name correctly. Iyasak became Iyazaki, no matter how many times he corrected them. He gave up. Idiots. But whatever, I'm out. Ayin. "Where will you go?" "To claim what's mine," he declared. "I've crushed their enemies, built their empire, and now I'm getting my damn humanity back. I miss food and other pleasures." He didn't have to specify. They wouldn't get it anyway. Suddenly, the scene shifted. Blinding light, a stark contrast to the demon-infested lands he ruled. A massive, severed monster head landed at the feet of celestial beings seated on their divine thrones. Gods. Smug, well-dressed, full of themselves gods. Isaac flashed them a grin. "All right, you omnipotent bastards, I did the job. Every faction challenging your rule, wiped out. So don't act like you forgot our deal. You turned me back into a human." The gods whispered among themselves, clearly sweating. This was supposed to take at least 500 years. What kind of lunatic actually finishes this? Truth was, they never intended to fulfill their promise. The whole deal? A scheme, a scam. Make him a mindless killing machine for free. Isak crossed his arms. "You do know I can hear you, right?" The gods froze. "You tell me," he said, rolling his non-existent shoulders. "Are we doing this the easy way, or do I have to start redecorating this divine realm in a fresh coat of blood?" And that, folks, was the aha moment. The heavens collectively shat themselves. One of the gods sighs and asks if he could just do one more thing. but he grits his teeth, glaring at them. "Do you really think I'm some brainless skeleton?" he snaps. "Are you taking me for a pushover? I don't care if you're gods. I'm getting what I'm owed." His voice rises into a furious scream. "You made me go through all that, and you didn't even have a way to turn me into a human in the first place?" The gods exchange uneasy looks. "So, you finally figured it out?" one of them mutters. "That's why we were against this from the start." He lets out a dry laugh. "That's all you've got to say for yourselves? Really?" His fists clench. "Because of that damn forbidden summoning, I'm outside natural laws. I can't die of old age. I'm stuck in this undead body forever, and on top of that, I'm a threat to even you divine bastards." He takes a step forward. "If you can't make me human, then I don't need you anymore." "Wait, just give us more time," they plead. "If you do a few more things, we might actually be able to—" "Oh, shut up." His eyes burn with fury. "You already failed to keep your promise. I don't do second chances. Now you'll pay for it with your lives." A dark aura swirls around him as he starts laughing, raising his hands. "Let's see how you like being skeletons too!" Energy crackles in the air as a glowing purple orb forms above his palms, growing larger by the second. The gods panic, their screams echoing through the chamber. But then, the orb vanishes. His laughter dies, his arms tremble, his entire body feels weak. What the hell? He tries to move but can't. His mana is draining away. One of the gods smirks. "That was pretty pathetic." "The one whose name is written in this can't move, no matter who they are." His gaze drops to a divine scroll in the god's hands. His name isn't written there. Isaac is. "It's a holy art. Banish disaster, the highest class spell to seal beings like you," the god explains, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You should have been grateful we let you run errands for us. How dare a mere demon defy the gods?" He scoffs. "You could have at least turned me into something decent, like a fuzzy caterpillar or something." The god rolls his eyes. "Why are you so obsessed with hair, such a lowly creature?" Then, suddenly, the bug in the god's hand starts glowing. His eyes widen. "What's happening?" A familiar laugh echoes through the chamber. "You morons," the Demon King sneers. "You should have acted faster, and you never should have revealed your hand." Power surges around him, light bursting from his tiny bug body. The gods scream. "Wait, stop." "Too late, idiots," he cackles. "Eat shit." And then, boom. A dazzling explosion of rainbow energy engulfs the entire chamber. The blast is so massive, it can be seen from outside their colossal divine tower. As the dust settles, the gods remain standing, alive but shaken. Did he seriously just self-destruct? One of them sputters. They glance at the tiny remains of the bug. "I think." The spell worked. His soul is sealed. A heavy silence falls over them, then one god straightens up. "With the Demon King gone, our power should return. Every time a demon disappears, we grow stronger. But we can't let our guard down. Another disaster like him could be born." Another god nods. "We'll create a perfect saint vessel in the human world, and we'll wipe out every last demon." One of them turns to his companion. "Are you sure you'll be okay? This will drain a lot of your power." "Don't worry about me," he replies. "Just find the right soul for the saint's body." His gaze hardens as he looks at the smoldering remains of the Demon King. As for him, he's going to suffer as a bug for all eternity. Then we hear Yisak thought, and he thinks he must have lost his mind. Maybe spending ages as a brainless skeleton had finally made him stupid, but still. Why the hell was it so bright? He tried to shield his eyes, raising his hands, and immediately froze. What the hell? His fingers were short, chubby, stubby. Vienna sausages? His stomach dropped. This was a human body. Did his wish actually come true? Or had the gods seriously screwed up the reincarnation paperwork? Before he could process his baby sausage hands, a voice rang out. The saint has opened his eyes. Yisak turned to see a group of nurses staring at him. One of them tilted her head. Oh, he finally woke up? Another sighed. Would have been nice if he just stayed asleep. Wait, what? Yisak blinked. Who were these women? His nannies? And more importantly, was he really human now? One of them crossed her arms. Well, it can't be helped. We feel a little bad, but we've got a job to do. Yeah, he just woke up, but he really needs to go back to sleep. Forever. Yisak's eyes darted to the bottle in their hands. His newborn survival instinct screamed, "Poison alert!" The nurse gave him a sympathetic smile. Sorry, little guy, but it's time for your eternal nap. She tipped the bottle toward his lips. Panic surged. Yisak turned left. They adjusted. He turned right. They adjusted again. This was the worst game of peekaboo ever. Finally, he threw up a chubby baby hand. Are you serious? I finally became human, and you think I'd drink something this shady? But then another thought hit him. Wait, how did I even become human in the first place? The nurses sighed. Sir Isaac, please, eat like a good baby and rest peacefully. Yisak froze. Isaac? Wait, did you just call me Isaac? One of them nodded. Yeah, it's just another pronunciation of his real name. When the god used banished disaster to seal him away, maybe they wrote Isaac instead. Guess that's why he reincarnated instead of, disappearing forever. Yisak stared, then burst into laughter. You idiots, you thought you won, but you screwed up the seal. I'm still here. His victory was short-lived. One of the nurses promptly shoved the bottle into his mouth. Oh, this was bad. He thrashed. But these women were unnaturally strong. Who the hell are nannies so buff? The liquid hit his tongue and his entire soul recoiled. Ugh, is this vegetable juice? It tastes like death. His vision blurred. Something ominous slithered into his stomach. Was this really how he was going to die? Right after finally becoming human? Meanwhile, in the holy empire of Hela, within the Central East Temple, a man with a sinister grin strolled through the grand halls. Baby should be meeting his end right about now. Someone beside him muttered, "The bishop sure seems lively today." Across the chamber, Alexander Heathcliff Hela, Emperor of the Holy Empire, sat on his throne, listening. He raised a brow as the bishop approached, bowing deeply. "We've come to greet the saint, your majesty." Alexander sighed. "You make it sound like a burden." He leaned back. "And wouldn't it be a real problem if something went wrong again? Especially after the last saint candidate was..." A blood-curdling scream echoed through the temple. Alexander's eyes narrowed. What was that? Alexander turned sharply, his face tense with worry. Across from him, the bishop began to grin. But before either could react, a swarm of attendants burst into the room, gasping and flailing in a full-blown panic. One nanny clutched her chest dramatically. "What happened to the young master?" she cried, voice trembling with alarm. Another wrung her hands, exclaiming, "This is insanity." Alexander braced himself, expecting the worst. His mind raced with terrifying possibilities. Had the poison taken effect? Was the baby... "Oh my heavens!" the nanny suddenly squealed with delight, eyes shimmering. "Look at that chubby belly. He's a perfect little angel." Alexander blinked. The bishop, on the other hand, paled, as if he had just seen a ghost. His voice quivered. How is he still alive?" He struggled to comprehend the impossible. This child should have been dead after consuming such a lethal dose. Just moments ago, Yisak had felt something dark and insidious slithering through his body. Realization struck. Holy poison. A devastating toxin meant to strip divine power from clergy members. It wouldn't kill instantly, but a large enough dose ensured a swift and merciless end. At least, that was how it was supposed to work. Unfortunately for his would-be assassins, the poison was crafted from demon mana, the very essence he had once thrived upon as the former demon king. What should have been fatal had, instead, become a feast. If he could have asked for seconds, he would have. But being a baby, he settled for the next best thing, a dramatic wail. His cries sent the nannies into a frenzy. They misinterpreted his outburst as a demand for more bottles, and one even speculated in hushed tones, perhaps the vegetable juice needs time to take effect. Meanwhile, Yasak simply grinned. They had no idea how beneficial this so-called poison was to him. Whoever concocted it had unknowingly handed him a golden opportunity. Determined to make the most of it, he closed his eyes and retreated into his mind, seeking the unconscious world, his inner sanctum, a space where he could forge a mana core. The transition was smooth. He landed effortlessly in his mental realm and took a moment to assess his surroundings. Safe, stable, perfect. A small orb began to form in his hands, a vessel for the mana he had absorbed. A mana core was essential for future magic use, and he needed to be ready. Then, without warning, boom, an explosion of mana rocked his subconscious. His eyes widened. Something was wrong. A mana core should manifest in one of three colors. His was none of them. Instead, it gleamed a brilliant, blinding white. Not only that, but the energy swirling within it was overwhelming, far beyond what any newborn should possess. A slow smirk spread across his tiny face. Well, this was unexpected. He stepped through the swirling aura, examining the core. Had he been blessed in this life? If things continued at this rate, he might evolve into something even greater than the monstrous being he had been before. With a flick of his finger, he carved two words into the core, Isaac, and beneath it another, survive. No matter what, he would endure, whether as a helpless baby or a fallen demon king clawing his way back, he would make full use of this second chance. Back in the real world, the nannies hesitated, whispering among themselves. Is he dead? Should we check? Before they could act, Yisak's tiny hand twitched. Then, ever so slightly, his little finger lifted. The nannies shrieked, "He's still alive!" Yisak resumed his babbling, and to no one's surprise, it sounded suspiciously like a demand for an even stronger bottle. Alexander exhaled in relief. At least nothing bad happened. Yisak, however, had a different opinion. Aside from nearly being assassinated, this had been a rather relaxing experience. His gaze flickered toward the bishop, who now looked utterly horrified, like he had seen a ghost, or worse, a tax collector. Yisak frowned. Why was the bishop looking at him like that? Had he eaten too much? Regardless, acting suspicious wasn't an option. So, naturally, he did what any self-respecting baby would do. He flashed an innocent, radiant smile. The bishop recoiled as if struck. His voice trembled. This isn't possible. By all logic, the child should have been writhing in agony. Instead, he was grinning. Panic twisted into anger. Something was undeniably wrong. Meanwhile, at the Holy Church headquarters, a man slammed his fist against a grand table. The idea that the saint controls the empire is absurd. His voice dripped with contempt. That's why we must ensure one of our children takes the title. The noble families were an obstacle. A bishop bowed slightly. The other candidates are being dealt with. Cardinal Harry Barrett leaned back, satisfied. Until his expression darkened, his voice dropped into a growl. There's a rumor that a saint candidate has emerged from House Eshua. Silence. Then, a sickening crack. His grip tightened around his chalice before he crushed it in his palm. This was bad. House Eshua was the emperor's right hand. The bishop swallowed hard, hesitant to speak. Barrett's fist slammed down again. That brat is already dead. I made sure of it myself. But, confirm the corpse, no mistakes. For House Barrett to claim the saint's title, all competition had to be eliminated. Back in the present, the bishop's face was ashen. The baby was supposed to be dead. Yet here he was, alive, laughing, mocking him. This couldn't continue. Alexander, meanwhile, observed Isaac with growing curiosity. That platinum blonde hair, his brow furrowed. Strange. The Holy Emperor's founder had the exact same hair color. Isaac froze. No way. Alexander continued, musing aloud. Honestly, he looks even closer to God than the current pope. Could he be the final saint candidate? Isaac's thoughts crashed into each other. I'm the damn saint candidate? It all made sense now. The whispers, the reverence. People had been calling him saint this entire time. The bishop, however, was fixated on something else. Alexander seemed to favor the child. That was unacceptable. Quickly, he requested an inspection. Alexander raised an eyebrow. An inspection? What for? The bishop hesitated before responding. Something is off. No ordinary baby should have been able to consume the vegetable juice. Alexander scoffed. There's nothing strange about a saint candidate consuming monk's food. Isaac, still spiraling over his predicament, barely noticed their exchange. How had the Demon King ended up as a saint candidate? Alexander crossed his arms. We'll wait for House Asura to send someone. Isaac nodded absently, just as a small burp escaped him. A faint puff of demonic energy drifted into the air. Silence. His stomach dropped. Slowly, he turned his head and met the bishop's wide, terrified eyes. The bishop took a sharp step forward, hand outstretched. His voice sliced through the air. Alexander, I just sensed demonic energy from this child. Isaac froze. Well, shit. Isaac mutters that this bastard finally noticed, and judging by his face, he's a little worried. The bishop, however, doesn't waste time. He declares that this child might be a fake saint candidate with mana, and that an inquisitor must investigate him immediately. Alexander scoffs, asking how dare he accuse a saint candidate like that. But the bishop, ever so smug, says there's no need for his concern. The Pope already picked the child from House Barrett as the official saint. Alexander raises an eyebrow. Oh, you just happened to pick one from your own house? How convenient. Now Isaac understands why they're so eager to get rid of him. Without warning, the bishop yanks Isaac out of bed, declaring he's going to summon the priest and bring an inquisitor. Alexander stretches out a hand, telling him to hold on. House Asura is the imperial family's closest ally, and as emperor, he strongly suggests they reassess the child later. The bishop sighs, saying that he's already spoken with the Pope. Apparently, the Pope won't hold the crown prince's investiture ceremony until the saint is chosen. Alexander's expression darkens. So that's his game, forcing him to accept his so-called saint or else refuse to acknowledge his own son. Tell me, is this the Holy Church's official stance? Isaac, meanwhile, is internally screaming. He doesn't want to be a saint candidate. It's way too dangerous. If his true identity is exposed, it's over. The bishop, however, doesn't care. If they don't inspect him now, they'll just use their holy exorcism art instead. Isaac grips his bottle tighter. The bishop assures him that if he's truly human, nothing will happen. But if he's a demon, well, they'll just exterminate him. And that's when Isaac swings the bottle straight into the bishop's face, sending a tooth flying. He sits back with a devilish grin, mumbling nonsense like a baby, before casually calling the bishop an arrogant son of a bitch. All right, let's play your little game. Everyone stares in shock. The bishop groans, rubbing his jaw, and asks how a damn baby bottle could hit so hard. The others start whispering. That light, could it be holy power? Is he the true saint? The bishop hesitates. He does sense holy power from Isaac, but something about it feels off. Before he can think too hard, Isaac imbues the bottle with more energy and swings again, cracking him in the face a second time. So, what are you gonna do now? And then he just keeps going, smack, smack, smack. The bishop is getting his ass handed to him by a baby with a bottle, and Alexander, watching from the side, looks way too entertained. Isaac grins. Oh, I can make this even better. He reinforces the bottle with strengthening magic, preparing one final hit, while, of course, keeping up the innocent baby act. The bishop collapses to his knees. The others whisper that he must be in awe of Isaac's holy power. Meanwhile, Isaac is just confused. Every time he uses mana, he feels a hint of holy power too. Normally, they can't mix, so it must be connected to his white mana core. The bishop, now furious, grabs the bottle mid-swing and slams it to the ground. He glares at Isaac, declaring, "I swear on everything. I don't care what this baby is. He's a heretic. We're using the holy exorcism art." Isaac smirks. "Damn, you're slimy. I wasn't planning to go this far, but oh well." He casually reaches into the bishop's robe, ignoring the man's startled reaction, and pulls something out. His eyes gleam. Well, well, what do we have here? In his hands is a grotesque, demonic hand. The bishop's face drains of color. He quickly explains, "It's a high-sealed relic, the corpse of a powerful demon. In other words, a totem, an artifact that harnesses a demon's ability to absorb mana by consuming other demons. He carries it at all times, just in case he needs to fight demons. But one question remains. How the hell did you know I had that?" Isaac just grins and chucks the damn thing past him. The bishop watches, horrified, as it thuds against the ground. "Pay attention," Isaac says smoothly. "This is all because you just had to keep messing with me." The severed hand starts to twitch. Then it unravels, releasing a surge of demonic energy. Isaac shrugs. Actions have consequences. He snaps his fingers. The room explodes into chaos as the demonic energy takes shape. A monstrous form begins to rise, and screams fill the temple. Isaac, ever the menace, leans back and quips, "Parry this, you filthy casual." Alexander turns on the bishop, furious. "What the hell are you doing? You let a demon loose in the temple? Have you lost your mind?" The bishop stammers. "Did you not see it? The baby activated the totem." Alexander scoffs. "A totem is just a sealing artifact. How the hell did it come back to life?" Without waiting for an answer, he snaps his fingers at his men. "Protect the young lord!" His knights charge in, yanking Isaac out of the bishop's grasp. The bishop just stands there, utterly lost. Isaac, however, is having the time of his life, cackling. "Damn, this one's on you, bishop. Let's see how good you really are." The knights unsheathe their swords, surrounding the demon. Then the beast speaks. "Kill the saint, kill the saint, kill the saint." Isaac's smirk falters. "Wait, what?" The monster's voice grows louder, more frenzied. Then, with a deafening shriek, it lunges straight for him. Isaac winks. "Excuse me? I brought you back to life. Why the hell are you coming for me?" But there's no time to question it. The knights rush forward, blocking its path. Isaac relaxes. "No big deal, the paladins can handle this." Then one of the knights gets instantly folded. Isaac leans forward. "Wait a second, was that really a paladin? Dude dropped like a sack of bricks." The demon rages on, screaming that it will kill the saint and free the captured king. Isaac sighs. "Guess I should handle this myself. And hey, nobody should notice me using magic in a situation like this." As the demon charges him again, Isaac suddenly wonders, why does everyone in this life want him dead? Then his eyes flash red. The temperature drops. A suffocating killing intent fills the room. Isaac narrows his gaze. "You really are a dumbass, aren't you?" The demon freezes. Isaac steps forward, his presence radiating raw authority. "You dare attack your leader?" The demon immediately crumbles in fear. "Two? That presence. It's the Skeleton King, but that's impossible. The Demon King shouldn't be here." At the same time, a golden light erupts from Isaac, flooding the room. The knights shield their eyes, stunned. Even the demon raises its hands, as if trying to block out the overwhelming radiance. Then, with a blood-curdling scream, the monster turns and flees. The temple erupts with voices. The demon is escaping. Use holy power. The young lord drove out a greater demon? Laughter fills the air as knights and nobles alike murmur in awe. Even at his age, he's already this incredible. Isaac just stands there, unimpressed. Man, being a baby is exhausting. Isaac stares at his hands, completely baffled. This is holy power. Real, divine energy. But how? He's out of mana. It's like his weird new body is converting his mana into holy power on its own. Great. But if that's the case, how the hell is he supposed to recharge? The Holy Empire's already running low on mana as it is. Before he can figure it out, the bishop screeches at the knights to let him go, calling them fools. He glares at Isaac like he just stepped out of the underworld itself. "This child is a heretic," he shouts. "He's using demonic powers. How dare he crawl into the Holy Empire?" Desperate, the bishop insists he'll prove it with an exorcism. Alexander steps in, clearly fed up. "That's enough," he says coolly. "You're accusing a saint candidate, and let's not forget, you just unleashed a greater demon in front of the Imperial Knights. You think you're walking away from this unscathed?" The bishop stiffens, knowing he's in deep trouble. If the emperor starts digging into this mess, the entire Holy Church could be at risk. But he's got one last card to play. Even if he has to die for this, he'll at least take down the saint candidate of House Eshua first. A massive magic circle lights up beneath him, and in an instant, a divine beast appears, charging straight at Isaac. Isaac sighs. So he's finally showing his true colors. He cracks his knuckles, ready to deal with it, until he suddenly remembers. Oh, right. No mana. The beast leaps toward him, but before it can land, a streak of blue energy slices through the air, hitting it straight in the throat. A voice rings out, filled with authority. "How dare you lay a hand on a direct descendant of Eshua?" Isaac turns to see a group of knights clad in blue, the Eshua Knights, and leading them is Relai, the seventh son of House Eshua. Without hesitation, Relai orders the bishop's execution. Isaac watches, trying to place the name Eshua. He's heard it before, but where? Meanwhile, Relai turns to him, his knights bowing in unison. "Apologies for the delay, sir." Isaac shrugs. No big deal. Honestly, you guys are more competent than the Imperial Knights." Relai smiles. "It's not much, but we brought you a gift." Isaac raises a brow. Gold? A rare artifact? He's curious, until Relai pulls out a tiny figurine. It's a cute little sculpture of the Demon King getting beheaded. Isaac's eye twitches. "Are you serious?" Relai grins, oblivious. "Oh, we have more. Here's one of the Skeleton King getting burned alive. And this one's my favorite. The Saintess crushing the Demon King." Isaac stares in horror. Why is she so huge? The knights giggle like fangirls. His reactions are so adorable. Isaac, on the verge of a breakdown, buries his face in his hands. How am I supposed to live in a house full of lunatics who all hate me? Then it clicks. Eshua. His blood runs cold. He remembers now. This is the lineage of Saintess sworn to end him. The 45th, the 61st, the 64th. Every single Saintess who ever came after him had the last name Eshua. And now, not only is he a saint candidate, but he's also part of their damn family. "What kind of sins did I commit in my past life?" he groans. Meanwhile, the bishop, foaming at the mouth, rants about the cursed Eshuas, screaming that he'll expose their secrets. But before he can finish, Relai moves. A flash of steel, a spray of blood. The bishop falls to his knees, his rant ending in silence. Relai crosses his arms and smirks. "You should be grateful, you know. After all that nonsense you spewed, Eshua still spared your neck." Isaac scoffs. "Please, I'm useful, and you only took him out because he insulted your family. Let's not pretend you're just some noble saint." He grins. "And look at you, all confident like you can take on the entire Holy Church." Before he can say anything else, the knights surround him, patting his back and reassuring him. "It must have been horrible to see that," one says. You should focus on the good things from now on, another chimes in. Isaac gives them a deadpan look. You guys are absolutely insane. But now that he thinks about it, the Blue Faith were strong. Even his old subordinates used to freak out when they saw anyone wearing blue. Suddenly, the knights start ripping apart the tiny Demon King figurines. Isaac gasps, "Wait! Stop! I get it. I should have taken my guy's warnings more seriously in my past life, okay?" Alexander watches the chaos and mutters, "I suppose I owe the boy a debt." He then turns to Riley. "Would you like to inform your head that the Imperial Palace intends to raise this child?" Riley blinks. "You have a wild sense of humor, my lord." Meanwhile, Isaac is grinning. "Wait, are you scouting me? This is kind of exciting." Alexander's face darkens. "The Holy Empire will come after him, inside and out. You understand that, right? Asura is strong, but I don't know if the Blue Faith now is strong enough to protect him." Riley looks mildly annoyed, but Isaac is too distracted by Alexander's cup. "What kind of tea is that? It smells amazing." Alexander continues, "The Pope especially will have a problem with him. His hair color alone is a symbol of the Holy Empire's ancestors. On top of that, the Demon King seems to be after him as well." Isaac raises an eyebrow. I am the Demon King. Why would I be after myself?" Riley clears his throat. "I apologize, but this child belongs to the Asura bloodline. He will be raised by us." Now here's where things get wild. The Demon King? Completely undefeated. No saint or saintess ever managed to take him down. The guy never took an L in his life. He didn't even kill them. Because if a saintess dies, her holy power goes back to the gods, and they just send an upgraded version like some kind of cursed DLC pack. And the last one he fought? Melissa? She was insanely strong. And now Isaac learns he's a saint candidate born into her family. He groans, "What the hell did I do in my past life to deserve this?" If you're wondering what a Sanus is, it's basically the gods' last-ditch effort after losing to the Demon King over and over. They threw everything they had into making a perfect warrior, a walking holy nuke in human form, a battle lion, a divine mace to the face, the strongest knight in the Holy Empire, insane attack and defense, cockroach-level survival, long lifespans, and a bunch of other perks. But even with all that, none of them could beat the Demon King. Still, he never actually killed one. He knew better. If he did, the gods would just send a new, more busted version. And Melissa? She was the worst of them all. Strong enough to make him actually struggle. And now, she's his ancestor. Isaac slumps. "I can't believe I'm related to that monster." Riley, oblivious to Isaac's inner crisis, proudly says, "The saintess exists for the sole purpose of destroying the Demon King." The Asura family produces these candidates and follows the god's will without question, and we have the power to protect this child. One of the other knights nods. He's right. Many Sanuses have already been martyred by the Skeleton King. Isaac glares. "I haven't killed a single one, actually. Hell, I even banished one to a labyrinth because I thought she wasn't even worth fighting. She didn't die. She just had a terrible sense of direction and got lost. Apparently 5 saintesses died from stress illnesses after that." Isaac sighs. "That's not my fault. They should have just gone to a damn clinic." Riley chuckles. "I've heard the stories, but it doesn't matter to me if you're cursed or not." Then he looks Isaac in the eye, voice softening. "I'm just glad you were born." Isaac freezes. "What?" Riley continues. "We only ask for one thing. Just don't grow up like the terrible Demon King." Isaac gives him the flattest look possible. "My guy, that's literally who I am." Still, something about Riley's words unsettles him. He sighs, closing his eyes. "Sorry, I guess, to my parents, whoever they were." Alexander, watching carefully, turns to Riley. "Think about it again. It's been 150 years since the Demon King was sealed away." Isaac blinks. "Wait, 150 years? That means Melissa should have died ages ago." She was already 50 when we last fought. So, it turns out the demons are leveling up, getting stronger, and looking for trouble. Meanwhile, the Holy Empire is sitting pretty with their secret weapon, the Saint. Yep, that means the boy is now on the radar of the Imperial Palace. Oh, and by the way, there's been no saint in Asura for the past year since Saint US gave birth to the boy and then poof, disappeared with the father. Talk about ghosting on a grand scale. The boy's mind is blown. Wait a second. My mom was the saint? Riley, ever the buzzkill, nods, but throws in some sage advice. Maybe, maybe not. But the matriarch is still around, and Asura's got your back, kid. Isaac, ready to drop every jaw in the room, demands, okay, that's it, no more surprises. My mother being the saintest? That's my limit. Right when he thinks he's seen it all, Alexander casually drops a bomb. Well, Melissa, your saintess mom is out there hunting demons, but don't worry. She'll be back soon. She's also expecting her grandson, so there's that. Isaac, now deeply questioning reality, asks, she's over 200. Why is she still alive? And the answer, as expected, she's a saintess, kid. They're practically immortal. Get used to it. But hold up, it gets even juicier. Alexander's like, it'll be a while before she comes back, so you should probably stop freaking out. Isaac's over here like, am I weird for not freaking out more about a woman who can end my life on the spot if she gets the wrong idea? Riley, unimpressed, offers a cold truth. You'd be freaking out too if your biggest enemies were still alive and kicking. And then the stakes get higher. Isaac realizes that if Melissa finds out who he is, it's game over. He clings to Alexander's finger, desperate, mumbling through his tears, please, take me with you. Alexander, practically glowing with joy, turns to Riley. Oh, come on, Riley. It's clear as day. He wants to come with me. Riley, with all the patience of a saintess, sighs. He's just being clingy. Alexander, still in his giddy zone, starts listing all the perks the Imperial Palace can offer. We've got resources, man. We know how to produce saints, but saints? Not so much. This kid's got to have some special treatment. Meanwhile, Riley's like, sure, they might be good at making saints, but we're raising the next exorcist knight. That's the real flex. And just when things are getting heated, they start playing a ridiculous game of tug of war with Isaac. But hey, the whole room's like, yo, chill. You're gonna tear him in half. Isaac, completely losing it, just wants to go to the Imperial Palace because, well, he doesn't want to die. When he glances at Alexander, he notices this strange glow coming from him, and suddenly, it's clear. This is it. This is my shot at survival. The light intensifies and Isaac's brain starts to overheat. This has to be the right move. But plot twist, just as the light is reaching its peak, it leaps somewhere else. Enter the bishop, who's now begging for his life, claiming that the kid used mana, and therefore must be demon spawn. Aha! Hori, in full-on drama mode, pops in, robes flowing, and asks the bishop if he really thinks the gods are blessing demons. The bishop, not getting the memo, insists it was just mana, but Hori's not having it. Oh, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Cue Hori slicing the bishop's throat in one smooth motion. Blood sprays everywhere, and Hori just looks at his men like, yeah, that was definitely blasphemy. One of the goons suggests starting another assassination squad, but Hori, not missing a beat, says, no need. The Emperor's gonna want the kid, and we've got all the time in the world to handle this in the Imperial Palace. That boy, not surviving this, no way. Sometime later, Isaac lazily picked at his ears, staring out the carriage window as the warm sunlight poured over him. He sighed. So, he was heading to Asura now. Not exactly what he had in mind. If anyone was wondering how he ended up in this situation, it all started a few days ago. Back then, he had seen a bright light and thought, what the hell is that? But to his surprise, it wasn't some divine revelation from Alexander. It was coming from Riley. Riley had told him, Asura is not the best place to raise a kid. He explained that people saw the place as nothing more than a dumping ground for old monochores and demon corpses. Isaac found that pretty amusing. So that was the survival origin shining so damn brightly? But then Rylai dropped an even bigger bombshell. "The most valuable thing we have," he said, "is the body of the Demon King." Isaac blinked. Wait, hold up. They had actually got the Demon King's corpse? Why the hell didn't they start with that? His excitement was obvious. Without even realizing it, his hand had latched onto Rylai's and he was practically shaking with enthusiasm. He gave Rylai a huge thumbs up, babbling nonsense like a child. Rylai, meanwhile, almost had a heart attack on the spot. Back in the carriage, Isaac leaned against the cushioned seat, arms crossed. "This really feels like I'm giving up palace life to join the damn military," he muttered. "But I don't have a choice. This is the key to getting my body back." His real body, the one he had refined for years, gathering mana powerful enough to fight against the gods. If he could reclaim that, rank 10 would be nothing more than a stepping stone. Isaac smirked. That glow from the survival origin had never shined so brightly before. Meaning, going to Ashua was definitely in his best interest. One of the knights traveling with them spoke up, frowning. "Why is the Holy Church still after the young master?" Isaac shrugged. "Yeah, I'm curious about that too. What's the big deal with me?" Rylai sighed. "It's because of a prophecy." Isaac raised an eyebrow. "Oh, great. What now?" Rylai explained. "The gods prophesied that the saint will be taken in as the son of a god. That means he'll be next in line for the Pope's seat. That's why House Barrett is so desperate." Isaac narrowed his eyes. "Son of a god? That sounded like a royal pain in the ass." Rylai continued, "The Pope is the strongest cleric in existence. He can cast rank 10 holy spells, making him practically the king of all clerics and paladins. He holds power equal to, if not greater than, the emperor of this holy empire." Isaac whistled. "So basically, House Barrett has been popping out popes for thousands of years, and now all of a sudden some rando saint is taking that away from them? No wonder they're losing their minds." Rylai nodded. "Exactly. And they're not the only ones. Every major house is scrambling to produce a saint so they can claim the Pope's throne." Before Isaac could process all of that, the carriage suddenly came to a stop. Isaac straightened up. "What's going on?" Rylai leaned out of the window. "Why did we stop?" One of the guards outside responded hesitantly. "We've arrived at the duchy, but there's a problem." Isaac frowned. "A problem?" The knight clenched his jaw. "The guards at the gate. They're refusing to let us in." Rylai's expression darkened. He swung the carriage door open and stormed up to the gate, his voice sharp with authority. "Are you telling me you don't recognize the insignia of House Ashua?" His glare was ice cold. "Just how are you educating your soldiers here?" Instead of answering, the guards laughed. Isaac's eyes narrowed. That was never a good sign. One of the men sneered. "Oh, we recognize it. We just don't care. We're not letting you in because..." His grin widened, his voice dripping with venom. "We need to eliminate that child who inherited the blood of the Saintess." Isaac barely had time to process that before the guards' bodies began to change. Their skin darkened, their limbs twisted, and their eyes burned with an unnatural glow. Isaac's jaw clenched. What the hell is this? He had explicitly banned attacks on human territory. Did the new Demon King not get the damn memo? One of the demons sneered. "Our glorious king has decreed that all saints and saintesses must be killed." Isaac's eye twitched. Yep, the new Demon King was an absolute idiot. Then the demon grinned wickedly, and under the command of the great Skeleton King, Lord Isaac himself, we will carry out this mission. Isaac, excuse me? He stared at them in disbelief. "I never ordered that, you morons." The demons didn't seem to care. "If you hand over the child," one of them taunted, "we might spare your lives." Before he could say another word, the demon who spoke those words was immediately hit by a blast of holy energy. His body disintegrated into ash on the spot. The other demons recoiled, snarling in rage. "You cowardly paladins!" Rylai stepped forward, pointing his sword at them. His expression was pure fury. "You creatures sure like to run your mouths in front of an exorcist." His voice was as cold as ice. "You won't be dying an easy death." Behind him, the blue Faith Knights gathered, their weapons glowing with divine power. Railai's voice was commanding. "Listen well. For the sake of protecting this world, House Eshua will eradicate all evil. We will hunt you to the ends of hell and burn every last one of you from existence." The demons hissed, baring their fangs. "The Skeleton King is not evil. You slander our master." One of them roared. "We will not allow you to speak ill of him." They lunged forward. Isaac sighed. "Yep, time to kill some idiots." Isaac barely had time to react before one of the knights suddenly grabbed him and dashed away from the carriage. The knight moved quickly, weaving through the battlefield while holding Isaac tightly in his arms. Isaac frowned, utterly confused. "Oi, what the hell are you doing?" The knight didn't stop running. "Please forgive me for this, young master," he said, his voice strained, "but for now, you must stay out of sight." Isaac scowled, wondering who exactly was impersonating him out there. It was one thing for demons to be causing chaos, but why were they claiming to follow him? This whole situation was beyond ridiculous. After several minutes, the knight finally stopped in a secluded area behind a cluster of trees, far away from the battlefield. He set Isaac down gently. "Wait here for a moment. I'll be back shortly." Before Isaac could argue, the knight began setting up a magical barrier around him. It shimmered like a dome of pure energy, encasing him completely. Isaac observed the barrier with mild amusement. "Huh, even a high-ranking demon wouldn't be able to break through this thing. Not bad." But then something else occurred to him. If nothing can get in, that also means nothing can get out. A slow smirk spread across his face. "Well, that means I don't have to hold back." Without wasting any time, Isaac sat down in the lotus position, his posture calm and composed. He took a deep breath before softly murmuring, "Heed my call. You, who are both magic and living." A ripple of mana spread from his body, like invisible waves passing through the air. Then, as if answering his summons, a faint voice spoke. "Ah, it's been a while." The voice belonged to a presence that shimmered into existence before him. A formless, shadow-like entity hovered in the air, flickering between visibility and transparency. Isaac grinned but quickly raised a hand to silence it. "Keep your voice down," he whispered. "Don't get too excited." The entity quivered slightly. "I never thought I'd get to see you again." Isaac chuckled. "Same here. Thought I was a goner." Whisper, as its name implied, was a unique creation of Isaac's, a sentient detection magic. Since Isaac couldn't be bothered maintaining detection spells in the middle of battle, he had created Whisper to do it for him. Over time, Whisper had developed self-awareness. And honestly, he was kind of cute. Whisper let out a hum. "Your wickedness hasn't changed a bit. But congratulations, I suppose, for shamelessly stealing the body of an infant." Isaac groaned. "Oh, shut up." Whisper continued, his tone dripping with disgust. "To think those filthy divine bastards dared lay their hands on you. They stuffed you into this disgusting baby body. It's an absolute disgrace." Isaac rolled his eyes. "Enough talking. Go find the enemies." With that, Whisper immediately activated his magic. An invisible aura expanded outward, rapidly scanning the battlefield. He quickly analyzed the surroundings and reported back. "I can cover a 100-meter radius for now. There are exactly 88 enemies, all demons." Isaac's brow furrowed. 88? What, are they trying to start a war? He clicked his tongue. "If security tightens around here, it's going to be a real pain summoning my subordinates." At this rate, the only option was to deal with them himself before they attracted any unnecessary attention from House Eshua. Even if he had to use all the mana he had stored up, it was better than letting things spiral out of control. Just then, Whisper tensed. Wait, the number just changed. Isaac narrowed his eyes. What? The enemy count. It's dropping fast. It was 88, but now it's 51, 31, 13. Someone is eliminating them. Meanwhile, in the battlefield, one of the Blue Faith Knights rushed up to Rylai. "Something's heading our way." Of the remaining 4 demons, one suddenly turned around, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Ah, our comrade is finally here. Now we can kill the saint together." Before anyone could react, the so-called comrade lunged at them, only to slaughter the remaining demons instead. The Blue Faith Knights recoiled in shock. "What the hell?" Whisper gasped. "There are no enemy forces left, but I've detected something else, a shadow lich." Isaac barely had time to process that before the creature let out a furious scream. "How dare they touch our king with their filthy hands? They must pay for this insult with their lives." Isaac blinked, completely baffled. What's with this guy's personality shift? The Shadow Lich continued its furious tirade. "My king, my one and only master, has been trapped inside the body of a lowly baby. This is unforgivable." Isaac groaned. "Oh, fantastic. Now I have an overprotective undead bodyguard." Rylai, still unaware of what the creature was saying, called out to his men, "Prepare for battle." Isaac panicked. He couldn't let them fight this thing. He quickly shouted, "Stop messing with my food. That's my highly concentrated mana source." One of the knights reassured him. "Stay put, young master. We'll handle this." The Shadow Lich suddenly let out an eerie laugh. "Master has acknowledged me. I have been recognized." One of the Blue Faith Knights shuddered. That demon is being hella creepy." Then the Shadow Lich abruptly turned and charged toward Isaac's location. Rylai's eyes widened in alarm. "It's heading straight for Isaac." The Lich screamed, "How dare you filthy paladins trap my master inside such a disgusting barrier?" Isaac let out a deep sigh. "All right, that's enough. I can't have my mana snap getting destroyed." He looked up at the Shadow Lich and commanded, "Break the barrier." "As you wish," the Lich declared, shattering the magical dome from above. The knights gasped in horror, but Isaac merely smirked. He reached out and grabbed the Lich's skeletal hand. "Good job." The Lich trembled in delight. "Master," Isaac cut him off. "Now, stop making a mess and rest." The Lich suddenly stiffened as an invisible force began to pull at its existence. Its massive form began to shrink, its energy rapidly fading. The creature's once mighty presence was reduced, until all that remained was the small, severed skeletal hand Isaac had originally freed it from. With its last breath, the Shadow Lich whispered, "Why?" before fading into nothing. Isaac exhaled. Finally, some peace and quiet. Rylai was completely taken aback by what had just happened. His eyes widened in disbelief as he asked, "Did you just turn that demon into a totem? Just like that?" The other man was just as shocked, though his reaction was more of admiration than disbelief. His mouth hung open in awe as he exclaimed, "That was incredible! You totemized a demon instantly. That's something only the Saintess or the Cardinals should be able to do with holy arts." However, what Isaac had used wasn't a holy art at all. It was magic. Rylai, still doubtful, narrowed his eyes. "It certainly looked like a holy art, but I couldn't sense any divine energy from it, not even a trace." The other man simply chuckled. "People shine the brightest when they're in danger." That thing came straight for him, didn't it? Maybe it instinctively knew he was a threat to its existence. "I have no doubt. The young master has something special about him. I'm sure of it. He's the saint." Despite the confident declaration, Rylai wasn't convinced. "I won't deny that the demons came for him. Even if he's not the saint, there's no doubt this child is unique." His expression turned contemplative as he added, "But why did it have to be a boy?" Before he could continue his train of thought, he started to explain a curse placed upon them by the Skeleton King. However, before he could finish, the other man interrupted him. "I've already made up my mind." With a determined expression, he declared, "As the commander of the Blue Knights, I will protect the young lord. He is the future of our house." Something clicked in Rylai's mind at that moment. something he hadn't even considered before. A slow smile spread across his face. I see now. I was foolish to be so afraid of the Skeleton King's curse. This child is going to elevate the Yeshua name beyond anything we've ever achieved. He bent down and picked up Isaac, holding him firmly. It's time to go home. As your uncle, I'll teach you many things. His eyes gleamed with conviction. You have great potential, Isaac. I will raise you into a fine paladin. Of course, Isaac had absolutely no interest in becoming a paladin. All he cared about was getting his body back. Just hand my body over when we get home, he muttered. But Riley wasn't listening. Even if fate has given you a short life, I'll find a way to save you. Isaac frowned, confusion written all over his face. What the hell does that mean, he thought. Riley, misinterpreting his reaction, simply smiled warmly. Don't worry, Isaac. I'll make sure your name is known across the entire continent. Isaac, still struggling to understand what was going on, tried to speak, but all that came out was unintelligible babble. Relay, however, thought he was just happy and took it as a good sign. When we get home, the first thing I'll teach you is how to properly curse the wicked Skeleton King, Riley added with a smirk. Isaac immediately rejected the idea in his mind. Curse it myself? No way. What the hell did I even do to make these people hate me so much? With that, they set off toward the Yeshua ducal mansion. As they arrived, the grand estate came into view. It was breathtaking. The mansion was enormous, decorated with golden statues and boasting a massive gazebo in the courtyard. Isaac's eyes widened in disbelief. These people are living in absolute luxury while waging war against demons, he thought. How much did all of this even cost? Even his companion, Whisper, was taken aback. This is beyond a night and day difference from our shitty castle, he muttered. Selling just a few of these statues could buy 10 new ones. Isaac sighed, clearly frustrated. I know. Shut up. Rayli lifted Isaac up, holding him so he could see everything more clearly. This is the Yeshua Mansion, he announced. It is also the birthplace of exorcism on this continent. He pointed out the window, directing Isaac's gaze to the training grounds. Below, a scarecrow stood in the middle of the courtyard. 3 young men were viciously attacking it, shouting curses at it as they hacked away. But that wasn't all. More people rushed in, jumping in to join the attack, mercilessly striking the scarecrow as if it were their sworn enemy. Their voices rang out in unison. This is far too merciful for someone as evil as him. Isaac stared at the scene, utterly bewildered. What the hell are they teaching these kids? This is a full-blown cult. Still, at the end of the day, it didn't matter to him. He had already joined the Holy Empire, and he had much bigger plans. He would make the Emperor his puppet. This wouldn't remain the Holy Empire for long. Soon, it would become the Isaac Empire. Whisper scoffed at his thoughts. Wow, even though you're the mighty Skeleton King, you're letting a bunch of kids play get under your skin? Isaac gritted his teeth. Shut up and keep scouting. Whisper sighed dramatically. As you wish, he said, before disappearing into the shadows to continue gathering information. As the carriage moved deeper into the estate, Isaac was astonished by what he saw. The mansion was filled with countless blue lights. He frowned. Are those all monocores? He asked in disbelief. There must be more than 10,000 of them here. Even Whisper, who had seen many things, was shocked. I've never seen so many before. Just how many demons have these people killed? Before Isaac could respond, the carriage finally came to a stop. We've arrived, Riley announced as he stepped out. He immediately turned to the staff and gave them instructions. Rearrange my room. Isaac will be staying with me. However, instead of obeying, the servants hesitated. They exchanged nervous glances before one of them spoke. Our apologies, sir, but we've been ordered to escort the young master to the annex. Riley frowned. Why? The butler cleared his throat before replying. The 5th young master has given strict orders. Isaac is never to be allowed into the main building. Isaac was confused about why he was being sent to the annex instead of staying in the grand mansion. Riley, clearly frustrated, questioned if they were really planning to send Isaac to a place where people could die. Isaac, on the other hand, wasn't too surprised. Based on how things had been going, he should have expected that his family would treat him like this. If they could abandon an infant outside, then their family was a complete disaster. Riley sighed, saying it seemed his brother was up to his usual pointless antics. Isaac wondered aloud why he had to go to the annex when he could be living comfortably in the main mansion. That's when Whisper, his spirit companion, revealed something interesting. The monochores were actually stored in the annex. Riley, still playing the role of a caring uncle, firmly declared that he wouldn't allow his nephew to stay in an abandoned, ghostly place. But, to his surprise, Isaac actually wanted to stay there. He tried to express this through baby babbling, but Riley didn't get the message. Instead, he insisted that Isaac would stay in his room, and every night he would read him holy scriptures about the saintess battling against the Skeleton King. Isaac immediately protested. No way was he sitting through that. At this rate, Riley might as well just perform an exorcism on him. At that moment, someone arrived and stood in front of Riley with a condescending smirk. The man scoffed, saying that first, Riley picked up a filthy stray, and now he was causing a scene. He reminded Riley that he had ordered for Isaac to be sent to the annex, and now, after so long, Riley had the nerve to show up and immediately disobey his orders. This was Goel Eshua, the fifth son of the family. Isaac was immediately put off by his arrogant attitude. Wow, he thought, this guy's a complete jerk. Goel then turned his attention to Riley and told him to put Isaac down. He referred to him as it and said he needed to be sent to the annex as ordered. Riley narrowed his eyes, demanding to know if Goel was being serious. He reminded him that Isaac was a direct descendant of House Eshua. Why, then, was he being sent to the annex, a place meant for those who were cast out? Even Isaac could tell that Goel simply didn't want him in the main house. Riley stood firm, saying that Isaac would stay in his room and he would personally raise him. He even added that he would read the exorcism rituals of the Skeleton King to him every night. But Isaac wasn't interested in any of that. If Goel wanted to send him to the annex, he was more than happy to go. Goel sneered and leaned down, poking Isaac's cheek with amusement. He laughed, mocking Riley for being so obsessed with direct lineage. Isaac didn't mind going to the annex, but he couldn't tell if Goel was just a bully or a straight-up thug. Riley, however, wasn't fooled. He pointed out that Goel was trying to label Isaac as a cursed child and push him out of the family's succession race. Isaac was taken aback. Wait, that's a problem, he thought. I need to drain this house of its wealth and rise to sainthood. Becoming the Pope is necessary for my plan to take revenge against the gods. Goel smirked, acting as if he didn't care. He had already heard that demons came to capture Isaac. That alone was proof enough that Isaac was cursed. But the knight from before immediately defended Isaac, saying that the demons weren't trying to capture him, they were exorcised by him. The fact that the demons were after him actually proved that he was important. Another person agreed, claiming that Isaac had the power of a holy saint. Goel found this laughable. He sarcastically remarked that it was heartwarming how eager they were to cover for this disgusting trash. If they really believed he was a saint, then he should prove it. Whisper took this as an opportunity to suggest summoning a meteor and dropping it on Goel's head. Isaac immediately told him to shut up. Goel, however, was already forming a plan. He glanced at a nearby tree and smirked. He pointed to it and said he had the perfect test for Isaac. That tree was the pride of House Eshua. The head of the family cherished it deeply, but it had died after being tainted by the essence of demons. If Isaac was truly a saint candidate, then reviving it should be easy. He then let out a cruel laugh and said, "That is, if you really are a saint." Isaac narrowed his eyes. This was going to be interesting. Riley was still in shock. "Are you serious?" he asked. Meanwhile, Isaac was trying to process everything. He was confused. Melissa had fought so well in the past, but her bloodline was in complete chaos. Her eldest son was missing, and her fifth son, Goel, was just a terrible person. Then, something clicked in his mind. "Wait a minute, is this for real?" he muttered. Whisper, his spirit companion, floated beside him and asked what he was thinking about. Instead of explaining, Isaac grabbed Whisper by the back of his head and tossed him forward. "Go grab it," he ordered. While Riley and Goal continued their argument, Riley pointed out that the divine tree had been in a dead state for 70 years. Even with healing and purification magic, no one had been able to save it. And now Goal expected a child, who couldn't even understand half the things being said, to fix it? But then, something unexpected happened. Both Riley and Gull turned toward the tree in shock. Riley's eyes widened as he stammered. It looks like the divine tree is back to its original glory. The little tree that had been dead for decades was now fully revived, its leaves lush and shining with divine energy. Goal was stunned. That tree didn't heal even when we used the strongest holy arts on it. How the hell did this happen? Isaac, on the other hand, wasn't impressed. He had no idea about the tree's history. He had just noticed that its roots were covered in leftover demonic energy. So, he simply had Whisper eat it all. That was it. One of the knights turned to Riley. "Sir, did you do this?" Riley shook his head. "I didn't do anything." The knight hesitated. Then, "Does that mean—" Meanwhile, Isaac was sulking. He had wanted to eat the leftover mana himself, but Whisper had gobbled it up instead. Before he could complain, all the knights started crowding around him. "This child must be the reason the divine tree was restored," one of them said. They lifted Isaac into the air, tossing him up in celebration. Goal gritted his teeth, furious at what was happening. "Have you all lost your minds? No one in this house could purify that tree. So how could a child do it? Someone else must have helped him." But no one was listening to him anymore. The knights were treating Isaac like a saint, completely ignoring Goal's protests. Seething with rage, Goal turned to Riley. "This is your doing, isn't it?" Riley blinked. "What are you even talking about?" "You gave him the power of the saintess," Goel shouted. He grabbed Riley by the collar, shaking him in anger. Isaac, still being tossed in the air, muttered, "Melissa really needs to stop hunting demons and come back to educate her kids." As he observed Riley and Goel, something else clicked in his mind. Wait a minute. Riley looks exactly like Melissa, just dressed as a man, but Goel, he looks nothing like her. Whisper tilted his head. Could they be half-brothers? Isaac hummed in thought. "I was wondering about that. Goel looks a lot like the Pope." Goel, still furious, continued ranting. "Stop pretending. I know exactly why you brought that trash here. You're trying to push him as the next saint candidate, aren't you? Even though the house already has one." Isaac's ears perked up at that. "Oh, there's already a saint candidate?" He smirked. "I wonder who this thug is pushing as his own choice." Whisper snorted. "You're awfully relaxed about this, considering you're also competing for the position." Isaac rolled his eyes. "Do you really think their so-called candidate can accomplish anything? Especially when their backer is an idiot?" Whisper chuckled. "Yeah, I guess you have a point." Riley finally spoke up, his tone firm. "Are you telling me to abandon this child? He is our nephew. He is the son of our eldest brother. He has the right to inherit this house." Goal laughed mockingly. "Our eldest brother? You mean the coward who ran away when our house was in danger? The one who fell in love with a worthless woman and disappeared?" Isaac frowned. "Ah, so that's why I'm being treated like an outcast. Interesting." Whisper looked at him in confusion. "You're really just treating this like an observation?" Goal smirked. "Well, even if that child is the son of the saintess, he's nothing more than a half-breed mutt." He sneered. "Honestly, I'm not even sure if he's really our blood. Sure, he looks like her, but if she really wanted to be useful to the house, she should have—" Before he could finish his disgusting remark, Riley's fist crashed into Goal's face. Goel stumbled back, clutching his jaw. Did you just hit me?" he shrieked. Riley cracked his knuckles. "Did you seriously think you could get away with saying that bullshit?" Isaac, still being tossed in the air, grinned. "Brothers bond by fighting, huh? Well, I sure learned a lot of useful information from this mess." Meanwhile, Riley didn't stop at just one punch. He was absolutely beating the crap out of Goel. Ghoul's knights panicked and rushed forward to stop the fight. Isaac watched the scene with amusement. Man, I'm lucky this family isn't close-knit. This is going to make it so much easier to tear everything down from the inside. Whispered, horrified, muttered, how did a demon like this even get reincarnated? But then he sighed, wait. If the house falls apart, doesn't that mean you will also be ruined? Isaac smirked. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Later, in a different part of the estate, Isaac was lying down, pouting, clearly upset. He was annoyed, muttering to himself that this situation was really starting to get on his nerves. But it wasn't a bed he was lying on. It was a long, fancy table. And around him, several people were talking, debating what use a boy like Isaac could possibly have. Isaac couldn't believe what he was hearing. He thought to himself that not a single person in this entire house seemed to have any common sense. The voices around him grew louder, with everyone arguing. Some were saying they couldn't believe that a useless boy, not another Saintess, had revived the tree. Isaac, growing frustrated, snapped at them. You should just come at me one at a time, he said. Since I arrived here, all I've been getting is complaints and insults. One of the women spoke up, her voice cutting through the noise. She told everyone to quiet down and then turned to Ralai. The Branch family has already agreed to take care of him, she said, referring to Isaac. This was when we were introduced to Hina Eshua, Eli Eshua's second wife and the current acting head of the house. She asked Ralai why Isaac had been brought to the grounds of the main family. Isaac immediately caught the hint of disdain in her voice. He could tell that Hina was the one who wanted to send him away to the annex. Ghoul, not holding back, told Ralai, "Your mother is asking you a question. Why aren't you answering her?" Isaac couldn't help but think that it made perfect sense that Hina was Ghoul's mother. Ralai responded, asking if Isaac's father had stepped down from his position. Hina answered, saying her husband had gone out for a while. "There's a lot of noise going on about saint candidates," she added, the words heavy with meaning. Ralai sighed, shaking his head. "That's too bad. Anyway, I need to relay the news that Isaac, the eldest grandson of Eshua, has revived the divine tree that we've all cherished for so long." Everyone in the room went silent in shock. Goel, still skeptical, muttered that it was a coincidence and asked how an infant could do something so remarkable. Another elder spoke up, questioning how a mere child could solve a problem that had plagued them for 70 years. Hina laughed lightly, but it was clear from her expression that she didn't believe it. "I agree," she said. "There's no proof of it. And anyway, the divine tree being revived is a great blessing. But who's to say it was this child's doing?" Isaac, sitting confidently, noticed how open they were about their disbelief. With a smug grin, he stuck his hands out. "You want proof?" he asked. "Well, here you go." The room fell silent as he revealed something swirling with a powerful, magical aura. Isaac told them, "Take a closer look." The elders leaned in, their eyes widening. That's the energy of the divine tree," one of them gasped. Isaac just sat there, looking smug and self-assured. Ralai spoke up then, explaining, "It seems Isaac has removed the mana that was corrupting the divine tree." The elders were stunned. Some murmured in disbelief, acknowledging that they knew the mana had been a problem, but how was it possible that a newborn child had dealt with it? They debated among themselves. The purification of the tree had been a difficult task, and many had believed it could have died if not handled with care. That's why the head of the house had relied on purification methods, not exorcists. Goel couldn't take it anymore. He exploded, shouting, "This is bullshit! There's no way that bastard son has that much power." But Ralai, calm and collected, continued. "Isaac has undoubtedly followed the tree's energies and exorcised the corrupt mana. This child, in mere moments, has done something no one in House Eshua has managed to do in 70 years. Isaac continued to sit there smugly, completely unfazed by the ongoing debate. Ghoul slammed his hand down on the table, his frustration clear. "This is ridiculous," he yelled. "How can you believe such an absurd story? A baby performing exorcism arts? How can a baby who hasn't even spoken his first words yet do something like that?" He was shaking his head in disbelief. If you allow this kind of story to spread, the world will only mock us. He looked at Isaac with contempt. Look at him. He looks nothing like his eldest brother. I bet he's not even of Eshua blood. He must be the son of some beggar off the streets. Riley calmly responded, telling the elders to pay attention to his words. This child will one day become the saint, he said confidently. In fact, he might even become the Pope in the future. Isaac, sitting there listening, couldn't help but smile. Well, looks like my uncle is doing a good job, he said, impressed. Riley then picked Isaac up, holding him in the air as he spoke. He will be the one to kill the Skeleton King, Riley said proudly. Isaac instantly changed his mind about Riley, thinking, well, maybe he's not so bad after all. The room was silent with surprise. Henna, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up, laughing. He's digging his own grave, she said, amused. If you're so sure about the boy, we should test him. She then added that she would request permission to use the treasury of holy artifacts for the test. The scene shifted to the northwest of the Holy Empire of Hela, in the Black Forest. A man stood alone, surrounded by the bodies of monsters he had just defeated. He sighed, clearly annoyed. What a waste of my time, he muttered. A member of the Blue Faith approached him, greeting him as the Lord of the House. What's wrong, the man asked. The knight responded. The deputy head has requested access to the treasury of holy artifacts. The man frowned and shook his head. I told you before, the Holy Church can't have access to it. The knight quickly clarified. She's not asking on behalf of the Holy Church. It's because your grandchild, Isaac, saved the divine tree. She went on to explain that the deputy head wanted to determine if the boy was truly a saint. The man, who we now know as Eli Yeshua, raised an eyebrow. What does it mean that there's a saint in my house? He asked, confused and a little suspicious. He refused to grant access to the treasury, explaining that the place would only allow a saint candidate to survive and anyone else would die. There will be no exceptions, he warned. Then, a woman's voice interrupted. We should let him do it, she said, walking forward. We now see Melissa, who was Isaac's mother. So Isaac saved the divine tree? He certainly sounds promising. She seemed to be in a good mood. Melissa continued, saying that if they were going to open the treasury, they should let all the saint candidates participate. The knight tried to protest, concerned that a child from another house might end up taking home the greatest artifact in the treasury. But Melissa only laughed. I would actually prefer that someone takes it, she said confidently. Even the greatest saintess in history couldn't take it for herself, but if someone does, we'll be able to track down the Skeleton King and kill it once and for all. She was excited now, practically glowing. In fact, anyone who brings it back should be rewarded. We'll give them the saintess's heirloom, passed down through House Eshua for generations. We'll also teach them the secret techniques I know, and we'll give them everything that even the Pope can't offer. The knight, still shocked, nodded and said he would spread the word. The scene then shifted to the treasury, a sacred place where holy artifacts and secret techniques had been kept for thousands of years. The treasury was maintained by the Saintess and House Eshua, and it was considered their domain. Only children under the age of 10 were allowed to enter the treasury to perform a ritual on their first birthday. The items they brought back would reveal their abilities and potential. However, the treasury was dangerous. Many Saintess candidates had entered and never returned. After so many deaths, the treasury was sealed. Back with Isaac, he was talking with Whisper. I really wonder if I'll be able to grab the Saintess's treasure and return safely, Whisper mused. Isaac, confused, asked, Why are you telling me this? Whisper shrugged. You don't seem too excited about it. Isaac grinned. Oh, I am excited, he said. My body is meant to be inside the treasury too. He started laughing, clearly eager. The same knight who had picked Isaac up earlier came over. Are you excited? He asked Isaac. The matriarch has opened the treasury to all saint candidates, and the children from all 5 great houses will be gathering soon. Even the house of that despicable Pope will be here. He paused and looked at Isaac. But I'm sure you'll be the one to win. Whisper, overhearing this, raised his eyebrows. This is much bigger than we thought, he said, impressed. Isaac smirked. "It's better this way," he replied. "If there are more children entering the treasury, the attention will be divided. It'll be much easier for me to get my body back without all eyes on me." Relai caught Isaac as he was lifted into the air. "Be careful," he warned. "Demons that were captured during the war are guarding the treasury." Isaac raised an eyebrow. "Is that why it's so dangerous inside?" he asked. "But if they were captured, they must be rank 6 or weaker, right? If I just intimidate them, it should be easy enough to get past." Relai shook his head. "Rank 8 demons are nothing to take lightly." Isaac, intrigued, asked, "Who the hell is the rank 8 demon that got caught?" The knight added, "And don't forget about the rank 9 dragon. It'll be the hardest to deal with." Relai nodded, agreeing with the knight. Isaac asked, "A rank 9 dragon? Seriously? You're putting that inside the treasury with babies?" He was baffled by the decision. Whisper, who had been listening, sighed. "This house is full of madmen," he muttered. "Why would they place a dragon there, especially during a first birthday ritual for infants?" Isaac, however, wasn't too worried. "Well, with my knowledge of dragons, I should be able to handle it." But then Isaac looked down at the ground, suddenly looking nervous. He confessed, "Dragons are dangerous in a completely different way. I used to scam them often." Whisper's eyes widened. "How many dragons did you scam?" Isaac scratched his head, looking sheepish. "Probably around 70. They have a deep hatred for me, and that's a problem. They have amazing memories. If they recognize my soul, I'm in big trouble." Whisper grinned, his tone playful. "Well, this could be a great opportunity for you to switch masters." Isaac shot him a look. "I heard that, you son of a bitch," he said, making Whisper laugh. Isaac stood up, now looking determined. "All right, if the treasury has rank 8 demons and a rank 9 dragon, and I can only handle rank 6 enemies, then I'll have to sneak into the annex where all their spoils are stored. I'll steal the mana cores and use them to defeat them." The scene then shifted and we saw Isaac outside, sitting on the floor near the front door of the estate. Whisper asked if he was okay, noticing that Isaac looked like he was about to be exorcised. Isaac was reading a book titled 10 Ways to Take Apart the Skeleton King. Isaac explained, "Once I figure out how to use holy power, I'll be able to learn holy arts. I need to learn that first." He then added, "Maybe I should use mind control to force them to teach me." Whisper couldn't help but laugh. "Are you crazy? You're in a family of paladins. If you try using magic like that, they'll think you're a demon and destroy you." Isaac looked at him, a bit frustrated. "What happened to you after 150 years? You're so cautious. I can't learn how to use holy power just by reading theory." Relai, noticing Isaac looked tired, gently picked him up. "You've been through a lot today," he said. "You need rest." Isaac yawned and agreed. "You're right. I need to sleep for 16 hours or more at this age." Relai carefully placed Isaac in his cradle. Meanwhile, the knight picked up the book Isaac had been reading. Relai stretched his hand over Isaac's head, using a holy art called Recover to restore some of Isaac's energy. Isaac and Whisper were in the room when Isaac realized they needed to leave. Isaac agreed, thinking they couldn't keep the people here too long. He then lay down to pretend he was asleep. Whisper teased him, saying no one would believe his acting. But they both admitted that Isaac had fallen asleep really quickly, showing just how good he was at everything. As they started to leave, Whisper commented that Isaac's family was something else. Relai told the knight to take the totem with him. It was dangerous to leave it here, especially since it was the first totem he had made. He wanted it stored safely. Isaac was upset and asked why they were taking it, saying he needed to siphon the mana from it. He even started crying at the thought of it. Once they were gone, Isaac knew what he had to do. He had no other choice but to take mana from the mana cores. He started to hop out of his cradle. Whisper asked if Isaac planned to crawl all the way to the annex, because at this rate, he wouldn't get there until tomorrow. Isaac reassured him, saying he had a plan, he just needed to open the door. Whisper warned that he wasn't going to carry Isaac, but when Isaac tried to unlock the door, he realized it was locked. There was a holy art placed on it, making it impossible to open. Isaac was frustrated and couldn't believe how protective his uncle was. He told Whisper to break the door open. Whisper replied that if they did that, everyone would think it was an attack and they'd rush to stop them. Isaac was starting to lose patience, frustrated that he couldn't just use magic or keep relying on Whisper. He wondered how he was going to escape. Just then, a door slammed open and a kid walked in, looking confused. Isaac was on the floor and the kid saw him, thinking he was just a helpless baby. This kid, Shuri, was Goel's son and he was 5 years old. Shuri looked down at Isaac and asked if this little baby was his rival. He couldn't believe a baby like him could make a totem that even someone as great as Shuri couldn't create. Shuri started to use his holy arts, trying to show off. He declared that he would be the one to become the saint, and no one, especially a baby, had the right to steal his position. A toy started to float in front of Isaac, and in an instant, Isaac smacked Shuri in the face with it, saying he'd found his ride. Shuri, shocked, asked if Isaac knew who he was. Isaac, seeing that the kid looked just like Goel, nodded. He knew this was Goel's son. As Shuri gathered holy power to attack him, Isaac decided he deserved a beating. He began to smack Shuri, telling him that he was going to make sure this kid took him to the annex. Shuri's hand began to glow with a purple aura, creating a barrier that knocked the toy away. He was furious and asked Isaac if he was surprised, telling him that he was the only one his age who could use rank 3 holy defense arts. Then, he started to form another spell, Holy Light, above him, and declared he'd attack Isaac with it. Isaac smiled and said this holy light was actually pretty good. He saw 2 holy lights forming and was excited. Isaac quickly countered by making a much larger number of holy lights, more than Shuri could have expected. Shuri was terrified as Isaac pointed at him, and the kid begged for Isaac to wait. But then we hear Shuri being dragged off screen, probably to get a good beating. Whisper, worried, said it probably wasn't a good idea to harm a direct family member, but Isaac assured him that he wasn't trying to kill Shuri. In fact, none of the holy lights had even touched him. Shuri was just terrified and freaking out. Isaac mocked Shuri, saying that if he couldn't even land a hit, he shouldn't try to surprise people. He said there was no way Shuri could beat a saint candidate like Isaac if he couldn't use his holy arts properly. Just then, a voice spoke from behind Shuri, and when he turned around, he was struck with fear. The voice belonged to the Shadow Lich, who asked Shuri how dare he attack his king. The kid immediately dropped to his knees, terrified. This was going to be a memory that Shuri would never forget. Isaac climbs onto the Shadow Lich's shoulder with a smug look, asking what he's up to. He then tells the Shadow Lich it's time to take a tour to the annex. If you watched until the end, comment "Ultimate" to let me know. So Shuri is out here declaring that he was supposed to be the chosen one, the saint no less. And his grand plan? Escape this cursed house and become the freaking Pope. Big dreams. But there's one tiny problem. He's currently being bossed around by a literal baby. Yup, Boss Baby has gone international. Shuri, obviously not thrilled about this arrangement, tries to pull the "Do you even know who I am" card on Isaac. But the Shadow Lich is having none of it, basically telling him, "Move or get torn apart, you lowly human." Naturally, Shuri is now in full survival mode, crying for someone, anyone, to save him. As they walk past a gazebo, Isaac, still speaking baby nonsense, tries to guide him left, but since Shuri doesn't speak fluent baby, he's completely lost, wondering where the hell they're even going. Then he suddenly stops, looks up, and his stomach just drops. They're at the second Annex Outpost, Central. Shuri's first thought, why did this crazy baby bring me here of all places? The clan head himself said this area was off limits because, well, a whole lot of people died here. Whisper and Isaac, on the other hand, are grinning like they just found a gold mine. Turns out, this place is loaded with mana that would normally take decades to gather. Isaac yanks on Shuri's cheek, demanding they move forward. Shuri, in true terrified fashion, protests, reminding everyone that the adults explicitly said never to enter. The Shadow Lich? Yeah, he doesn't care. He calls Shuri a mutt and tells him to shut up and walk. And so, against all his instincts, Shuri steps inside, whimpering with every step. Inside, Isaac is unimpressed. The place is more run down than he expected. But then, he spots something. Whisper chimes in, revealing that the entire place is locked up with power barriers on every door. Isaac finds this extremely annoying, while Shuri sees it as the perfect excuse to turn back. Oh no, doors are locked. Guess we gotta leave now. But Isaac? Oh no, he's got other plans. Instead of looking for a key or some normal way in, he straight up starts yanking Shuri's hair like he's Remy from Ratatouille, forcing him to turn left. Shuri is not having it, but then he spots a wall of portraits, all the previous clan heads, looking fancy and important. Shuri, ever the ambitious one, asks if Isaac's aiming for the clan head position, to which he immediately shuts him down. Nope, that's my job. Isaac, in response, lifts up his toy like it's a divine artifact, then hurls it at one of the portraits, shattering it. Shuri screams. Then Isaac throws another, and another. Before Shuri can even process what's happening, every single portrait is getting absolutely wrecked. At this point, Shuri is just done. What the hell is wrong with you, you lunatic? Isaac, unfazed, simply replies, well, they shouldn't have put barrier spells on the paintings. Whisper confirms that the barriers are now broken, and Isaac is very pleased with himself. He jumps off Shuri's back, announcing, time to go. Shuri, still in panic mode, asks where exactly he's going, only to watch Isaac execute a supreme tactical commando rollout down the hall. Seriously, who taught this baby parkour? Isaac keeps babbling excitedly as he enters a room filled with monocores. Shuri rushes to stop him, but before he can reach him, Isaac just smirks and says, a kid like you doesn't need to know. Then, slam. The door shuts in Shuri's face. Inside, Isaac sits down in the lotus position, all peaceful and zen, and declares, time to begin my harvest. Shuri, on the other side of the door, is probably having a full-blown existential crisis. Shuri is banging on the door, yelling at Isaac to come out already, or else he's gonna snitch. Full-on tattletale mode. He keeps threatening to tell the adults that Isaac got kicked out when, surprise, Riley shows up with a whole squad of knights and elders. One of the elders immediately calls out to Shuri, like, boy, what the hell are you doing here? Shuri is relieved at first, thinking finally, someone who will understand. He immediately points at the door and shouts, thank goodness you're here. Isaac's a little monster. But the elder is not having it. He starts barking at Shuri, demanding to know why he brought Isaac into the off-limits annex. Shuri is confused, like, wait, what? I didn't bring him here. He came himself. But the elders ain't buying it. They say they saw Isaac crying earlier, which means Shuri must have forced him in. Shuri tries to explain, saying he did technically use a holy attack move and did carry him here, but it was all just a misunderstanding. Riley, looking all disappointed, tells him he's crossed the line. I get that you're upset, but tormenting a baby? Really? Shuri is flabbergasted. I didn't lock him in. He did it himself. Then, bang, 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 they hear knocking from inside the room. Riley rushes to the door, calling out, Isaac, are you in there? Now, they're wondering if Shuri actually did lock him in. When Riley opens the door, he looks so worried, only to see Isaac on the floor, bawling his eyes out like he's in a soap opera. Even the elder is like, oh no, look how scared he is. Shuri watches in horror as everyone falls for what is clearly an Oscar-worthy performance. Meanwhile, Riley is relieved, saying, he's in shock, but at least he's unharmed. Then he turns to glare at Shuri. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shuri, absolutely losing it, starts crying too, yelling, it wasn't me. But Isaac, peeking over Riley's shoulder, smirks evilly and babble-speaks something that, in Shuri's mind, roughly translates to, "I can't believe your dumbass actually fell for that." Shuri now fully realizes he's been played. And the elder? Oh, he's about to scold him hard. Poor guy. Meanwhile, Isaac is off in his own world inspecting the mana, completely unbothered by the chaos. Turns out he gathered a century's worth in one go. Not bad for a baby. He's already scheming what he can do with it. Riley, still oblivious, mistakes Isaac's evil mastermind face for shock and pats his head like, poor kid still shaken up. Sometime later, Riley tells Isaac there's someone he wants him to meet. Isaac looks up, curious, and Riley introduces her. Ashley La'Arch, a paladin of Eshua. She bows deeply and declares, "I will serve you until my dying breath." Isaac immediately squints, seeing right through this. "Oh, so you want to keep an eye on me after what just happened, huh?" He then tries to intimidate her, yes, this tiny child, by babbling at her to get lost. Instead of being scared, Ashley is adoring it. She turns to Riley and asks, "Can I just pinch his cheek real quick? That pose was too cute." Isaac is not amused. Then Riley pulled something out of his vest. "This is a gift from your uncle." Isaac eyes it suspiciously. Did he find this on the ground or what? Whisper even jokes that Eshua's finances must be worse than expected if this is considered a gift. But then Ashley suddenly recognizes it and gasps. That's the Saintess's treasure. Isaac, now intrigued, gives it a second look. Okay, maybe this is actually worth something after all. Riley hands Isaac a box, saying, "The elders told me to give you this." Isaac opens it and his eyes widen. Wait, this is the real deal, isn't it? It's the ring, the one the Saintess used when fighting him. An elder ring packed with a small miracle from the gods, holding an absurd amount of holy power. The catch? He can only use it once or twice in its current state, but he's already got a way to fix that. Just as he's admiring it, he turns his head and spots Goel, who looks pissed. Isaac smirks. Judging by thug face over there, this thing is definitely legit. Goel approaches, suddenly all buddy-buddy, draping an arm around Isaac like they're besties. "My dear nephew, you're just so precious every time I see you. Getting used to the house yet?" Isaac side-eyes him. What is this dude's problem? He's acting so weird it's like he finally lost his mind. Goel lets out a dramatic sigh. Things just keep getting weirder. The blessing device in the treasury broke, so you couldn't get a blessing, and now they give you the Saintess's treasure? One of the elders nods. Isaac can't receive a blessing, so this is to make things fair. Goel's jaw drops when he realizes what's in Isaac's hands. Hold on. If anyone should get that, it's Shuri. The elder shuts that down immediately. Shuri already got a blessing from the Holy Church. Stop being greedy. Goel, clearly salty, mumbles, "I was going to donate it to the church, then conveniently keep it for myself, but this brat just took it without even knowing what it is." He huffs, then suddenly pulls out a different ring. This one super sparkly and glowing. "Here, this is a real gift. It's been blessed countless times by the Holy Church. Way better than that junk they gave you. I was going to put it in the treasury, but since I'm such a generous uncle, I'll let you have it. Even Riley couldn't get his hands on this." Isaac stares at the ring for a second, then slowly reaches out his hand. Gold grins. He's taking the bait. But instead of grabbing it, Isaac slaps the ever-loving hell out of Goel's hand, sending the ring flying. "Yeah, no, get out." Then, without missing a beat, he yeets the entire ring box into another dimension. Sokka, it plops straight into a nearby pond. Riley blinks. That ring looked 1,000 times more valuable than the one I gave you." But Isaac, he doesn't care. He stretches his arms out dramatically, and both Riley and Ashley scoop him up and toss him in the air like a victorious hero. "We'll only give you the best things," they cheer. Meanwhile, absolute chaos breaks out behind them as people dive into the water, desperately searching for Goal's lost ring. Isaac just grins. "Yeah, good luck with that." He casually whispers to himself, "I used magic to make it weigh a ton, so they'll never find it." Whisper, standing next to him, is impressed. "Wow, you're really committed to never touching that rat's stuff." Isaac smirks. "Oh no, you're gonna fish it out later tonight." Whisper, "Yeah, all respect lost." But Isaac is already planning to sell it, because that thing is definitely worth a fortune. Meanwhile, Goel, back in his office, is having a meltdown, slamming his desk like a man who just lost a lottery ticket. That stupid little brat has no idea how much that ring was worth. But then he takes a deep breath. Whatever. It's not like he can even use the Elder Ring properly. It requires 20 people's worth of holy power to activate. He pauses, then frowns. There's probably going to be like 10 people at his first birthday party. Goal suddenly looks very concerned. The next day is Isaac's first birthday, and it's basically a festival. Ashley, holding him by the window, is in awe. "Wow, there are 148 saint candidates and 4,000 servants and nobles here. Even all the ducal houses showed up. And not just them. Some Marquess houses, foreign saint candidates, and oh yeah, maybe even the emperor himself." Isaac, being Isaac, just shrugs. They say saints are sent from the heavens, but maybe the gods just got lazy and started throwing them everywhere. Whisper nods. "Yeah, that sounds like something they'd do." Meanwhile, Riley is confused. He figured people would think this was a trap and stay away. Then a voice chimes in. "Oh, come on, no one's that paranoid." Enter Count Simon Aegis, head of one of the Empire's top merchant guilds and Riley's childhood bestie. Riley is shocked. "Simon? You actually came?" Simon grins. "Duh. The whole Empire is buzzing about this. And when people heard the weaklings from Asura were attending, they figured it had to be safe. Plus, Asura's matriarch made it a surprise event, so how could they resist?" Riley is about to ask what the hell he's talking about when Simon goes on. "Even the Pope's house won't be able to ignore this." Isaac has no idea what they mean, but before we get any answers, the door opens. Simon, still on his rant, is saying, "Those high and mighty royals act like everyone except House Barrett is a bunch of commoners." Then, a calm but ominous voice cuts in. "There is nothing more dangerous than a vulgar man. Old proverbs never lie." And just like that, the room goes silent. Riley and Simon turn, eyes wide. A freaking cardinal just walked in. The guy smiles, but it's one of those smiles that says, "Yeah, I'm about to ruin your day." He looks at Isaac and says, "I was curious about the so-called saint candidate from Asura, but I couldn't find him anywhere." Riley suddenly feels like they walked into a trap. The number of saint candidates shot up from 25 to 148 in a week. There's no way that's normal. The Holy Church must have ignored all the unfit candidate claims, probably hoping to drown Isaac in competition. Worse, this whole thing might be a setup. They could use the chaos to take him out. Riley turns to Ashley, looking serious. Isaac's in danger. Bro doesn't realize he eyes the danger. Meanwhile, we get some backstory on Asura boys. They're all stunningly good-looking, from prestigious families, but pretty much useless otherwise. However, their genes, highly sought after, and the papal house, which hates the house of the saintess, would love nothing more than to ruin one. Some noble girls decide it's time to mess with Isaac. They spike his drinks with holy poison, thinking it'll humiliate him. The goal? Make him a laughingstock. But plot twist, Isaac starts chugging them like they're premium energy drinks. "This stuff is actually gas," he says, tossing back another bottle. The other kids watch in horror. How many of those did he drink? One girl panics. That was supposed to give him diarrhea. Another kid, did we grab the wrong bottles? Shuri, utterly baffled, yells, "Stop drinking that. You're a saint candidate. You should know when something's drugged." He snatches the bottle from Isaac's hand and gives him a fresh one. "Here, normal water. Drink this." Isaac stares at it. Then, without missing a beat, he chucks it back in Shuri's face. "This one's clean. I want the poison one." He then turns to another kid who starts sweating. "Ugh, mine has holy poison." Isaac lights up. "Gimme." "No, you'll die." Isaac leaps for it. Absolute chaos ensues. At this point, the other kids are convinced he has God-tier poison resistance. After all, high-level holy power can purify toxins. Maybe that's why he's looking for the poison drinks. Shuri's grandson, Kina, finally steps in, confused as hell. What is even happening? Turns out the papal house really did send someone, Kina, their direct grandson. And suddenly, the competition just got way more interesting. So Isaac's just chilling, but then he's like, wait, that guy's the only one chosen internally to be the saint? I don't even know if the Barrett family can even produce pure hair like that. Every pope I've ever met had that dirty brown hair. Kina, meanwhile, is just laughing and says, of course, the pope isn't the saint. He's the boss of all the clergy. The saint is basically our family's prized possession. Shuri's like, damn, this guy's bold. And Kina just keeps going, saying he's here to take back what's rightfully his. Isaac's watching all this unfold and just goes, yeah, this guy's definitely papal house material, and also definitely a monster. Based on his holy power alone, the dude's already stronger than bishops. No wonder they call him Saint Candidate Zero. Kina then turns the tables, roasting everyone, asking, are you guys even real saint candidates? You're literally bullying a baby. Maybe it's not his own power that's protecting him, but the saints. Isaac just laughs. Damn, I guess stupidity runs in the family. Kina's had enough and raises his hands, holy power sparking. But suddenly, oops, Isaac just slips right out of his grip. Kina realizes, oh crap, this baby might actually be stronger than me. Meanwhile, Isaac's crawling right back toward the poison bottles like it's a buffet. Kina's pissed now, just glaring at him, and Isaac's like, bruh, why are you looking at me like that? Then, in the most Isaac move ever, he tries to smack Kina with a bottle. But before he can land the hit, Shuri dives in like a Secret Service agent. Mr. President, get down. Boom, chaos. Everyone's staring like, did he just assault a dude trying to cure him? Is this an act of war between two families now? Kina, surprisingly chill, just dusts himself off, saying, it's fine, he's still a baby. Yeah, right. Then he flexes. Anyway, y'all better gather whatever scraps you can, 'cause the biggest treasure in the treasury, that's mine. Y'all ain't even getting near the Skeleton King's body. Isaac, who was just vibing, suddenly snaps. What the hell did you just say? Of course, he's still a baby, so all anyone hears is angry baby noises. He starts shaking Shuri, demanding answers, and Shuri's like, bro, chill, why are you manhandling me? He finally spills. The matriarch promised a special reward for whoever brings back the Skeleton King's body. Isaac freezes. His soul leaves his body for a sec. Melissa, what kind of twisted games are you playing with my corpse? Sometime later, Isaac's gathered even more bottles, just lying there, dazed. He's thinking, man, I spent hundreds of years cultivating mana into my old body. If I get my hands on it again, reaching rank 10 would be light work. But then reality hits. How the hell am I supposed to sneak my body out when all these brats are gunning for it too? He sighs, then shrugs. Welp, guess I'll just knock everyone out. Just then, one of the adults claps their hands, calling everyone to gather up. All right, listen up, we're heading out soon. The treasury is a holy place, and the previous saint... Isaac immediately zones out. Oh great, history lessons. This is going to take forever. Boring. He starts crawling away mid-lecture. Shuri spots him. Where do you think you're going? Isaac just gets into a sprint stance like an Olympic runner, then zoom blasts off, kicking up dust while everyone turns, absolutely shocked. Shuri watches in disbelief and tells the elder, "Yo, Isaac is hauling absolute cheeks right now." Sure enough, Isaac is zooming using some holy technique called swift steps. The elder freaks out, yelling, "Bros, stop! That area is off limits. If you go in there, traps are going to activate everywhere." The other kids realize this is about to turn into a disaster and immediately start sprinting after him. "We got to stop this lunatic before everything goes to hell." Meanwhile, over at House Eshua's fancy ballroom, Ashley sighs, hoping the young master isn't out there causing trouble. Spoiler, he absolutely is. Up on stage, someone announces that they've tapped into the Treasury's surveillance and are tracking the candidates. We see bats flying overhead as they report that the first chamber's door has opened. The trials have officially started. Riley's like, "Damn, it's already happening." They start reading out the rankings. In third place, Iman. Simon fist pumps. "Hell yeah, that's my boy." In second place, Shuri. Goal, surprised but still proud, nods. And in first place, wait a damn second, it's Isaac. Cut back to Isaac, still speed running through the treasury like a menace. The elder is straight up yelling, "Bro, stop, you can't go in there." Isaac, of course, does not stop. Instead, he steps directly onto a trap. Boom, dude gets absolutely zapped. Shuri, watching this chaos unfold, asks the elder if he's good. But before anyone can even process what just happened, even more traps start activating. Now it's a full-blown battle royale, and Shuri is sprinting for his life, screaming. Isaac, "What the hell are you doing? You're making this 1,000,000 times worse." The treasury trials were already tough, but now, thanks to Isaac, it's basically impossible. Isaac finally reaches a door and is like, "All right, this has got to be the way to the second chamber." But surprise, more traps are waiting inside. Shuri, probably already exhausted from dealing with this guy, yells, "No, you idiot, that's the wrong way." Meanwhile, Whisper is just vibing, congratulating Isaac on his progress. Oh, and thanks to all the mana cores he absorbed earlier, he ranked up. Isaac, ever the taskmaster, is like, "Great, now I can push you even harder." Then he tells Whisper to grab Shuri, and Whisper, like the obedient little minion he is, just swoops in and snatches him up. The other kids are watching this whole thing unfold like, wait, we didn't sign up for this level of chaos. One of them notices Shuri floating and is like, "Yo, why is he flying? That's totally unfair." But plot twist, he's not flying willingly, he's getting dragged, looking miserable. Like, guys, please, I'd really rather not be here. Whisper dumps Shuri on the ground in front of Isaac like a sack of potatoes, and Shuri groans. "Dude, knock it off. Yeah, you made it past the first chamber, but from here on out, you could straight up die if you're not careful." This whole thing was designed to teach Saintuses how to deal with fear and make the right choices. Then, zap, Isaac steps on a trap like a total noob. He just laughs it off like, "Whatever, I don't need your lectures, just tell me what's in the..." Somehow, Shuri actually understands what's going on and tells Isaac that once he enters the second chamber, attacking is completely off limits. That's the golden rule. Isaac squints and asks what kind of dumb rule that is. If they're enemies, shouldn't he just be able to blast them on sight? Maybe Shuri's just fluent in body language or something, because he insists that the only way to get past this trial is to sit tight for 3 minutes, no matter what shows up. If Isaac doesn't get it, they're both screwed. Isaac groans, saying that patience tests are the most overused trope ever, but Shuri warns him that people have actually died in there. Isaac shrugs it off like it's nothing. 3 minutes? That's a cakewalk. I just gotta sit still and not zap anyone. Easy. He places his hands on the door, and it slowly creaks open, welcoming him into the chamber of tranquility. Some voice starts whispering about how patience is a virtue, how he must remain unshaken, blah, blah, blah. Isaac is just standing there, deadpan, thinking, Why is bro actually looking kinda majestic though? As the voice drones on about his patience guiding him to the light, we cut to Kina and a bunch of other kids who are lagging behind. Kina smirks, saying they don't need to throw themselves into danger first. Let the meat shield, aka Isaac, handle the hard stuff. Oh, and let's not forget, Kina adds, there's a rank 8 demon guarding the second chamber, so everyone who ran ahead is probably already dead. Then, with perfect timing, the chamber lights up with a golden glow. Kina bursts out laughing, pointing at the scene. Oh yeah, the trial has totally started. Back to Isaac. He's standing in the chamber as a figure emerges, looking eerily familiar. Before it can even finish talking, Isaac, on pure reflex, absolutely incinerates it. Instant kill. Shuri stands there, horrified. Did you just? Bro, how was I supposed to hold back when they showed me that thing's ugly mug? Isaac snaps. The voice booms, announcing that he has failed the test. Those who lack patience shall face divine punishment. The doors slam open and a colossal golem stomps into the room. Shuri panics. We're dead. We're actually dead. Isaac just cracks his knuckles, rears back his fist, and punches a hole clean through its chest. Shuri is just standing there, even more confused than before. What kind of gag manhwa nonsense is this? As the golem crumbles, Isaac frowns. This is a rank 8. No way. This thing was made by one of my subordinates, one of the 14 elite demons I trained myself. What the hell is it doing here, working under Yahello? He starts walking off to investigate, but then, cue dramatic laughter, a kid steps out from behind some bushes. Where did those even come from? And introduces himself as Nigel Seafet, third son of the ducal house Seafet and part of the Red Faith of the 5 Great Faiths. He smugly thanks Isaac for taking out the gatekeeper and says, now get out of the way, we're going into the second chamber first. Isaac just raises an eyebrow. There are survivors? Nigel keeps running his mouth, calling Yahello a coward and accusing Shuri of setting up traps for him. Shuri is absolutely done with this nonsense. Brajamana. In what world does it look like I'm on his side? Shuri yells. But Nigel isn't listening. He notices the ring on Isaac's chest and immediately jumps to conclusions. Aha! This artifact must be why you avoided the traps. He straight up yoinks the ring off Isaac. Shuri sighs. Yeah, you're nowhere near the truth, buddy. But then he notices something weird. Isuri's just standing there, completely unfazed. That's not normal. Nigel and his crew confidently step into the second chamber, gloating about how they don't need anyone from Asura. Then, click, a trap tile sinks beneath Nigel's foot. His eyes widen. You can practically see the "haha, I'm in danger" expression flash across his face. Boom. Nigel and his entire squad get absolutely obliterated. They go flying, screaming, "What the hell?" as the trap activates. Shuri just slowly turns to Isaac. You knew about this, didn't you? You baited them into triggering the traps. Isaac just watches as the dust settles and all of them are sprawled on the ground like ragdolls. Ayo, what is bro doing? With most of the second chamber's traps now triggered thanks to Nigel's stupidity, Isaac and Shuri continue forward. But Isaac groans when he realizes they're being followed. 3 cautious kids creeping behind them. They all say he has divine energy, one whispers. We're sure of it. Another nods. He is from the house of the Saintess, after all. Isaac sighs. Great. More weirdos. So Nigel, yeah, dude was dumb as a rock. That ring he swiped looked like some dusty old antique you'd find at your grandma's house. And as if someone from Asura would ever be that much of a coward in the first place. Whisper, being the ever-loyal hype man, goes, finally, y'all about to witness the greatness of my master. But meanwhile, Shuri, bro is absolutely sweating bullets inside. He's thinking, forget the demons. This monster sitting on my head is the real night. Then one of the kids steps forward all serious and says, if there's a real saint among us, it's gotta be Isaac. Big words. He introduces himself as Paris Julius II, Prince. Fancy name, huh? The other kids immediately start whispering, "Wait, isn't that the prince from the Eastern Kingdom of Gila? I heard he got a divine blessing." Isaac, ever the opportunist, is already scheming. This kid might actually be useful. But before he can start cooking up a plan, Shuri calls out to him. "What now?" Isaac sighs, not even turning around. "We're here," Shuri announces, coming to a stop. In front of them looms the entrance to the third chamber. As the doors slowly creak open, eerie figures, either from the divine realm or some cheap knockoffs, stand inside, welcoming them. The whole vibe screams, "Final boss fight." They declare that this chamber is meant to test their courage and resolve. The other kids, still high on the fact that they followed Isaac instead of Nigel, are already hyped. "We made the right choice. The Skeleton King's corpse is as good as ours." Then, the divine figures lay out the challenge. Fight us. Win. Gain honor. Isaac, instead of looking remotely worried, actually starts grinning. "Ooh, this is going to be fun." The kids are confused when Isaac suddenly holds out a hand, signaling them to stop. "But," one of them asks, hesitating. Shuri, meanwhile, is in full analytical mode. Wait, something's off. The first chamber was supposed to be about selection, but Isaac just ran through it like a lunatic. The second was about tranquility, yet this man zapped the first thing he saw. The third is supposedly about rumination, but that's the hint. If the pattern holds, then the trick here is... He doesn't get to finish that thought, because Isaac suddenly gestures for the other kids to go stand off to the side. You want us to go over there?" one of them asks. Shuri watches, stunned. Wait, is he actually helping them? Is there some hidden noble side to him? Maybe, just maybe, despite all the chaos, Isaac still carries the blood of the Saintus in his veins. Maybe he's been misunderstood this whole time. Maybe, deep down, he's here to guide everyone toward the right path. Or not. Because the very next thing Isaac does is wind up and blast the divine being in the face. Shuri's brain short-circuits. Wait, what? The gatekeeper, now visibly pissed, booms, "You have failed!" and immediately swings at the poor kids standing to the side. Cue instant chaos. The kids get absolutely wrecked, screaming as they get yeeted across the chamber. Shuri stands there, staring in horror as this unexpected massacre unfolds. He slowly turns to look at Isaac's face, hoping to see at least a shred of regret. Nope, dude looks downright ecstatic. Shuri's eye twitches. You're a lunatic. Isaac, meanwhile, is just laughing. Man, this is nostalgic. These things are just like the puppets used by the 14 demons. Turns out, these divine beings aren't divine at all. They're lying dolls, some creepy magic constructs used by high-level demons. Isaac is absolutely thriving in this realization. Still, grinning like an actual villain, he turns to the dolls and says, "All right, teach these brats a valuable life lesson." The poor kids are still screaming. Shuri, completely done with life, just sighs. And that wraps up Chapter 115. I hope you enjoyed the recap and had as much fun watching as I did making it. If you love Manhwa and want to see more exciting recaps, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep bringing you the best stories, so make sure to hit that notification bell to stay updated on our latest uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.